If you're watching this, then you realize that this video is very special to me. Special enough for me and this channel because I have reached 400 subscribers. No fanfare. It's not deserved yet. And before I get lost in my explanations as to what I'm doing for this video, even though you can clearly tell where this is all going, I really want to take a moment. And this moment is very crucial because this is possible because of you. I want to thank each and every single one of you that has subscribed to me. I love you tremendously. And if, for all intents and purposes, if that is too strong, then I like you tremendously. Okay, this is awkward. Just as awkward as my 200 subscribers video. Oh, yeah, that wasn't my best video. I'm trying to thank you. But when I did hit 300, I did do a trailer for my channel. We live in a world of TV shows and movies, and here on my channel, I am here to talk about the stories and the characters these worlds set up. And I did find myself a little bit more confident then. I felt like I had a little bit more focus. But now that I have reached 400 subs, I wanted to do something moderately different, which is a ranking video. And in a way to thank you for subbing to me, I am going to rank the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Alright, hold on. I know, I get it. You invested all this time and effort to, what, get a ranking out of me that everyone else is doing? I mean, I understand everyone and their mothers is doing a ranking video these days, and honestly, that's why I don't necessarily do them. But I say moderately different because I have done a ranking video before, but it was over the 12 Doctors for a show called Doctor Who. But I am going to rank these films from my least favorite to my absolute favorite. However, with the Marvel movies, I've only ended up walking out once or twice just slightly disappointed. These are all very entertaining films, and trust me, even the ones that make it low on the list, I've had fun with them in some form or matter. But before you yawn and say, I've seen this before, before you are ready to tear me a new one because this ranking is not going to reflect your own, God damn it, why didn't he have that number as number one? And before you say, why do a ranking when everyone else has done it? Why don't you try and do something else? This is where I really want to be transparent. Full transparency is definitely a given, and I really want to be honest with you guys, because I do believe that rankings are just personal opinions sent out into the world of the internet. It's brutally misunderstood, and some people see it as an uncompromising list that's now set in stone. Rankings, lists like this, I don't feel like they are set in stone. Not completely. But I do feel like this list is a lot more fair than a bottom to top, and I feel like it's going to keep things fresh and separate from the films that are actually stronger in material as of like today and in the last couple of years to what came out before. So I wish to break down the Marvel movies by their intended phases, as there are 3 of them. I'm leaving them in their respective phases. With that said, let's jump into this. Starting with the first phase, obviously phase 1. Within this phase we have 6 movies, and we're going to go in order of release, not chronological. We've got Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America the First Avenger, and of course, the Avengers. Beginning my rank, we are going to start with the bottom and work our way to the top. And may I just say, for the record, this was not easy, because I enjoyed all of these films pretty well. But this is the kind of ranking of which I would say I would watch more over than the next one, so to speak. So if I rank any one of them on the low, it doesn't mean I'll never watch it. It just means that there's another one on top that I will go to first before I go to that one. Starting at number 6, Captain America, the first Avenger. Alright, so before you start hating me, just hear me out. I know there's a lot of people out there that really enjoy this film. Trust me, I know. I would go as far as to agree that this is a well-made beginning, middle, end of a hero's journey with plenty of morals to get behind of a soon-to-be first Avenger. Great special effects, especially a pre-serumed Steve Rogers, and a very compelling villain, perfectly casted by Hugo Weaving. However, it all boils down to the overall feeling that left me going meh. Where I love Cap and his character that I can definitely relate to, I just find myself not completely invested in his backstory. It's the least likely to watch first on my list because it's kind of like, unless you were going in chronological order or that one chance that you get to show your friend who has never seen the Marvel movies, it's one that I'm just not going to go to first. At number 5, we are at Iron Man 2. Now, this is usually the kind of response most people are giving when ranking. Not a lot of people either liked this one or Incredible Hulk, for the most part. And if you're not seeing Incredible Hulk at the bottom of the barrel like you had hoped, I really do apologize. But Iron Man 2 is just a messy movie combined with Tony Stark's reckless behavior, along with dialogue completely jumbled between two people where not a lot can be heard. Not to mention a lackluster villain that I thought was going to be much more compelling than what we got. Found its footing probably about midway when Nick Fury comes in to size Tony up. It's not that it was set up for a future Avengers film, it just lacked the freshness of its predecessor and seemed to be unfocused a lot of the way. I do enjoy this film, keep in mind, just not one I'd reach out and grab on a whim. Next at number 4 is Thor. And now, this movie surprised me on multiple levels, keeping a grounded tone that we all needed, but kinda didn't want because we wanted to see Thor do his thing and be cool and throw his hammer and have it come back to him. Not to be left on Earth, powerless, learning a lesson. But to be honest, I liked the lesson he had to learn. I felt like our upcoming villain, Loki, was perfectly casted by Tom Hiddleston and just had enough to do that left its mark for what we were about to see. Chris Hemsworth is very iconic as Thor, and that's just me saying. The chemistry between him and Jane works for the most part, and I just love the overall tone of the film, balancing grounded world that we knew and expanded it showing Asgard, leaving us with the possibilities of seeing beyond that. Going to say I'd choose this one over the first two mainly because this is funnier and more creative to boot. There's a certain charm in this film that I really, really enjoy. Moving on to 3 is Iron Man. This is complete fun. The sense of energy to it really makes you feel like you want to go out and create something. Be like Tony and be carefree. Have banter with someone and carry on a conversation with whomever, just like Iron Man. Jon Favreau did an amazing job with this movie. It's so genuine, charismatic, the characters are fun to be around, and yet it does kind of falter in its third act. Nevertheless, the movie definitely would be chosen over the last 4 because I always had fun with this movie. We are at number 2, my friends, and if you haven't cut me off already, you're going to now. Why? Because at number 2 is Incredible Hulk. And to my nature of all of this, I've had one heck of an experience in the theater for this movie, and I'll get to even more in a second, but I understand that not a lot of people like this film. I understand that it's even considered like the black sheep. Like, yeah, you're there, but we won't acknowledge you that much. But to me, it's miles better than the 2003 Hulk that we got. And my God, did they make Hulk entertaining in this film. I wasn't bored for a second in this film. And Edward Norton embodies Bruce Banner admirably well. I can only speak for myself when I say this. The ways Edward has his Bruce Banner deal with stress and keeping his heart rate down was very interesting. The action sequences I felt were filled with energy and circumstance that just clicked with me. The music complemented everything going on, and this movie really felt like it was trying to use elements from Iron Man to show connectivity. I honestly felt like this movie was everyone trying to pull Easter eggs from. And yes, Iron Man had its own, but it was this first movie here that so many people were trying to pinpoint, oh, Captain America's here. Oh, Thor is there. All in this one movie. And it was a more appropriate extension to the universe, and it was just way too much fun for me to pass up. But finally, at number 1, the golden movie that I think many people love, very few dislike, and one somewhere out there in the world, wherever he is, hates. And that is Marvel's Avengers. What on earth could I say that could be any different than anyone else saying things about this movie? Seriously, this this brought 4 films together with their characters, minus one recasting, brought respective elements to tell a story, made sure everyone had enough to do and personal motivations within the story, making it one damn fine ensemble piece. Huge props to my hero, Joss Whedon, as I am in love with a lot of his work, minus a few things I actually just haven't seen. Damn fine film, funny as all get out, bold without a single ounce of pretentiousness. Best experience in the theater that I have ever had in my life. Theater was roaring. Oh, and cheering in the best of ways. Highlights were where Bruce says, "I'm always angry," leading around bout shot that had our characters ready to kick some ass and take some names. Theater was absolutely nuts. And that, and the Hulk showing Loki, who's boss.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Yeah. So that wraps up Phase 1. Don't agree with the list or even imagine why in the world am I ranking this stuff in the first place? Please leave a comment down below and tell me your ranking of Phase 1. Sorry if this didn't really appeal to you. Let's move on to Phase 2. Again, same thing, not going in chronological order. I'm going in order of release when I say this. Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man. Let's start off with the bottom and let's work our way up. Starting at number 6, you probably guessed it, Iron Man 3. This movie, it just didn't work for me. I get the direction it took. In fact, I appreciated it. I get at the Avengers came together, they did their thing, and not everyone came out clean on the other side. Tony Stark made one hell of a move that shook his foundation to everything he knows. I get that. I loved that. I wanted more of that. The deconstruction of his character and making him try and turn over a new leaf all works. I even state in my review for Iron Man 3 that this was one film that polarized me. It worked on many levels, but then again, it didn't work for me completely either. I liked watching this film unfold where great things happened, but then some of it just turned into meh. The humor didn't quite work out for me. The direction of its narration was a much different thing, and it was a decent change, but not something that I could completely get behind. And the tone was different to show the stakes. It was much more comic booky for that matter, and none of that is really to fault, but it didn't exactly sit well with me either. And to which I must clarify, I all understand where this movie was trying to go and where it did go. But seriously, this was like eating a meal that tasted really good, but as you're eating it, you just kind of realize, this might be a one-off for me. I don't think I really want to have this anymore. And then after that, you just realize it's got a terrible aftertaste. Onwards to number 5. You're really probably going to hate me because I know at least 2 people who love this film and probably would make it at their first top 10s by far is Thor the Dark World. Now this is number 5. Again, I did not hate this film. There was an excitement to this film that I couldn't wait to see. Directed by Alan Taylor, who was a director of few episodes from Game of Thrones, I thought they chose a perfect director to helm this already realized world, to give it its earthy tone, enough to give you some grit and humor to last us out throughout the film. And for the most part, I do stand behind that. Sadly, the tone and overall story just didn't quite work for me. To put it simply, I felt like I was going to get more than what I got. The humor didn't quite work well for me. The story was okay, and the biggest thing that I love was Loki and Thor's relationship. In the end, I enjoyed what I saw, but I wished there was more. At the end of the day, I do think that the tone didn't work. Thor didn't feel completely as fun the first time around, and there needed to be more elements of fun without ruining the tone. Of course, if you don't hate me already, at number 4, we get Ant-Man. This is a fun little movie, pun intended, that I think put fun back into the MCU universe, where Tony Stark's post-traumatic stress disorder was crippling him for who he was, Thor's family issues, and Steve Rogers' monumental crisis with S.H.I.E.L.D., all bringing a much darker tone to the universe. Ant-Man sought out a few laughs for the sake, and it really did a great job showing a young Michael Douglas along with an aging Agent Carter in the mix. I had a lot of fun with this film, considering it sought out to do something a little different. It just feels like the film should have come out during Phase 1 while things were still fun and less dark. Climbing up to number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. After leaving the theater to this one, all I could think about is how this was an Avengers light film, without the build-up of characters coming together for different reasons. This was an ensemble piece of characters coming together for a common goal in different parts of the universe. Second watch of this film actually really helped, as I enjoyed it considerably more, and it's a lot of people's favorites, and it's a very watchable film indeed. Reaching to number 2, Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, if you're a little shocked that it's not number 1, this is not a perfect film for me. This is actually more or less a flawed creation of a tragedy unfolding, and it's trying to find its focus in that. This is a fun film introducing new characters, new stakes, and a returning Joss Whedon at the helm. Sadly, it does sacrifice a lot just for what it is right now. Thor's story doesn't get as much treatment, it's diminished just a tad. Hawkeye gets more screen time and a worthy mention as the most grounded Avenger amongst the bunch. But the material within the film does get bogged down by everyone calling themselves monsters, which I felt was a little annoying. But all that said, the best parts about this film is fun action, an eccentric James Spader as Ultron himself, in channeling his inner Raymond Red Reddington from Blacklist, everyone having personal goals within this film, coming together in the end, and a much more well-deserved darker story that has some real consequence, and everyone just coming together, seeing it all come to light. The cast really just bounces off each other really, really well. At the top, we get Captain America, The Winter Soldier. This is a damn good film. Great soundtrack, great action, a well-deserved dark tone that changes everything we knew about S.H.I.E.L.D., Cap, and the universe as a whole. This really breaks down the mold, and telling the story as it is it doesn't act like a comic book film. In fact, it's like an espionage thriller with comic book elements sprinkled in. It does a lot for being one movie, but I feel this was an equal blend of everything, keeping you at the edge of your seat, wondering what was going to happen next. This was a hell of a game-changing movie. And that does now wrap up Phase 2. Did you agree with the list? If so, let me know. If not, let me know. I would love to know what your ranking is of Phase 2. We're gonna jump straight on in to Phase 3. Keep in mind that this phase isn't completed yet, so ranking is subject to change. But with that said, we shall dive into the least likely movie I'll turn to first in this set of movies. At number 8, sorry, but it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy this film, and in the best way. I didn't mind the uses of characters throughout, but I wish there was more to some than others. Michael Pena was amazing, and quite frankly, I wish there was more of him. I wish Scott Lang was given a bit more to do, considering they kind of made him out to be the idiot in this film. But after seeing this movie twice so far, it's still very much enjoyable, and a well-placed installment, especially after Infinity War. Moving on to number 7, we got Spider-Man Homecoming. To be honest, this is the best Marvel adaptation of Spider-Man we're going to get, considering it's now part of the universe of Marvel, this established universe at least. Here, this film looks to tell a story we didn't get anywhere else, and it tries to stay away from the origin points, but tries to tell a progressive tale. It was alright. Again, as every MCU film goes, it was fun. But this one wasn't my favorite in the bunch. If someone suggested to watch it, I'd say let's go for it. It just wouldn't be my first grab. And here we are to number 6 on the list, and it's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Look, I rank too high, my head's on a spike. I rank too low, my head's on a spike. But the truth is, I can't stress this enough, this is, within this phase, much like Phase 2's big polarizing film, Iron Man 3. It's really split down the middle. A lot loved, a lot disliked. I rather love the film, but it's not without faults. Even to this day, I still pick apart. The comedy, for starters, lead to great laughs, but sacrifice serious moments I think needed to be. The story surprisingly takes moments of exposition into effective emotional storytelling. Sometimes the movie gets a bit too cruel for its own good, but ultimately it effectively balances all the characters well enough. It just had distracting elements as either you can justify over personalities or overlook for the sake of humor, or you can really look at it quite oppositely on both factors. Coming up at number 5 is Doctor Strange. All right, so this is where things are going to get a little bit difficult. But I will say, this movie was definitely cool. Magic, dimensions, the expanding the world we knew and challenging it to new heights. Benedict Cumberbatch is awesome as Stephen Strange. Rachel McAdams is always a welcome sight. Chiwetel Ejiofor is amazing as always, and I can't go on without mentioning Tilda Swinton, despite the controversies, as the Ancient One. And this might be my favorite installment to date, within Phase 3's installments. I feel saying that, though, can catch many, many people off guard and catch some heat. So allow me to justify by saying that there are bigger, more powerful films in this phase that deserve a higher ranking, despite the fact that I have had more than one favorite film in this franchise. This is what you get when every single Marvel film decides to start being the best that they can be, each one greater than the last. And it's really not about choosing favorites, you just feel yourself drawn to certain movies. In this case, from this moment forward, I'm definitely struggling with the ranking, but feeling myself drawn to these films as personal favorites. Doctor Strange at number 5 is definitely one of them. At number 4's pick, Black Panther. Yes, I would imagine this would be the top pick from most people, but for me, I struggle with this attention between the top 5. Just because it's not at the top doesn't mean it's a bad film, but it really spoke to me on many, many levels. I love the cultural appropriation, the message within the film, the different tribes within Wakanda. Just the culture itself is mesmerizing and one hell of a game changer within the MCU to show a socially effective, deep-thinking, crowd-pleasing film on every effective level. The more I think about this film, I want to watch it. Heading on over to number 3 is Thor Ragnarok. Now, this is a film I hear people say a lot about the same thing about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It sacrifices humor for the sake of its serious moments. I even heard the banter was too much for someone. For me, none of this is too much. I thought the tone went in an excellent direction, giving us what we needed. I didn't think it took itself too seriously, but made way for moments I think needed to be serious. It brought life back into Thor without it being ultimately divisive when he cracked a joke or 3. The villain of this film works for the most part, Hela, pretty much taking everything Thor has, left minus Loki, and leaves him to die on a waste planet. To be fair, the witty dialogue can get a bit much, but it's really gonna get to you if you're not really expecting it. But this movie really is entertaining from start to finish, and the performances from Mark Ruffalo and Jeff Goldblum, please give me more. Please. Smack dab into number 2, we get Civil War. To have free reign or not to have free reign. To give your own sense of control or to have someone control you. This movie surprised me on all fronts, from the beginning to the end. The handling of each character is well utilized, and the subject matter is arguably the best between two opposing sides of the spectrum. Tony Stark and Steve Rogers both have their sides, and both have their fuel to the fire, so to speak, making them very relatable and personally motivated. This even introduced Black Panther and Peter Parker in the same movie. I love their contributions within this film, and they just have enough screen time that keeps everyone from saying, well, they weren't in it enough. I absolutely love this film, and the same goes to the last 3 before it. But we can't deny the fact that the most ambitious project was 10 years in the making. It has been on our minds for quite some time, and it's finally here for us to watch, speculate, and feel all the emotions. At number 1 comes... Hulk 2003. I really loved, I'm totally kidding. I am totally kidding. Avengers Infinity War. So much going on. So many feelings. I don't even know where to begin. This movie rivaled at my #1 most anticipated list, as Mission Impossible Fallout took me by storm as well. These two films both had me thinking about them so hardcore that I'm even dreaming about them, desiring to watch the trailers over and over and over again. They both came out with hardly an inkling of disappointment for me, and I truly loved this film with everything I had left. Thanos is an amazing villain, and at a point I was almost sick to think about him. He was a very effective person, a force to be reckoned with. You understand his plight, his motives, and emotional core to bring our characters to their knees trying to stop him. And it doesn't end there. With this movie being as big as it is and totally against the grind, this is the real main character of the movie. Even everyone else is just kind of clamoring to keep up with him. It's a powerful, fun, enjoyable, even sad, and really shocking film. And this is why Avengers Infinity War made it to the top of the list of Phase 3. So, if you're not mad at me for my ranking, or if you are but didn't find a complete BS, I'd love to know what you think. Leave a comment down below. I'd love to know your rankings as well. I'll always respect your opinions, as I can only hope that you respect mine in return. But, in any case, thank you so much for watching. I'd like to thank everyone who voted on this on Twitter way back when. I was saving this for this kind of moment here, so this really worked out. It kind of worked out this way. This is my 400th video for 400 subscribers, so I thought this was very ironic, very poetic, so to speak. And if you like this and or any of my other videos and want to see more, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Make sure you turn on those notifications so you don't miss anything. I love your support and the kindness you bring with it. And for that, I'll get you more videos in the future.